Awesome possum, welcome to part 2. I have to split these videos because I didn't do the things on YouTube to upload more than 15 minutes. I'll fix that later. Okay, so now that we have movement all set, at least I think I do. I haven't tested it yet, but it should be fine. We're going to add in something that we didn't do in class, which would be a look mechanic. So if I click another mapping, so this time we're not adding another binding, we're adding an actual action mapping. We're going to look for, let's see, I'm going to hit the drop down and I want to look for my IA demo look. So it's just another 2D axis, but it's going to reflect my camera movement. So for standard keyboard mapping, WASD is how you move around, but for looking, it'll still be controlled by the mouse. If you're on a gamepad, it's normally controlled by the right stick. And if you're on a VR controller, look is controlled via your head. So in most cases for keyboard, keyboard and mouse, I'll twirl down mouse and I'll look for mouse XY 2D axis. So if my mouse is moving right, my camera should look right. If it's moving left, my camera should look left. If I'm moving it forward, that's considered up. And if I'm moving it down, that's considered back, looking down. And then I might be wrong on this one, but if I add another binding and look for gamepad, I would want the right stick, 2D axis. That should cover it for a gamepad. And then if I was doing it for VR, which of course there is a VR template, so we wouldn't have to set this up. It would come by default. But it's good to know, like if I want to add functionality, this is what I would look for. Let's see, mixed reality, it's only telling me about the controller sticks. I actually might have to do something different to set up the headset. Look for the headset. So I'll actually come back to that one. But you could also direct your view and VR via the stick. That is not impossible, and that's actually quite common. But I'm going to just delete that so it doesn't get in the way. But that should be look all taken care of. And then if I add another action map and look for my demo jump, this is just a basic jump, which if I click the keyboard icon again and I'm going to hit the space bar, we see a space bar in there. We don't need any modifiers for this. Essentially, when I hit the space bar, my character should hop and then fall down. So that should be your mappings all set. Demo, look, jump. Same like the basic first-person controller demo that's already in the project. So I'm going to save this just out of habit. Gonna hit exit. And I forgot I already had the template one already open, and we can check. They have jump, move, and look. So these are just like basic things to start off on. Okay, so now that we have our input actions all set, we have our input action context and our actions. We can go into this first person folder, which we can see has a level, a material. I don't know why this is in here. Anims and blueprints. We're not going to worry about this stuff. This is the stuff that comes with the template. So we're going to create our own folder, new folder. I'm going to call it DMS439 first person. And we're just going to recreate some of the stuff from scratch so we know how to do it. And I'm actually going to rename this folder right here in our input actions to DMS439 input, just so I know inside the folders what's like part of the demo. Okay, so just to be verbose, right now I'm in the first person folder, and I'm going to go into the folder we just created. Okay, And give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to create 3 different blueprints, which is what Unreal uses to house your functionality. So if I right click, I'm going to look for blueprint class. I'm going to click it. And you'll see this pick parent class little widget. And what we're going to look for is character, player controller, and game mode base. These ones on screen right now are like kind of the most common ones that you would ever use. But if you need something more specific, you can open up this all classes and search for all available blueprint classes in Unreal. And there's a lot of them, which we'll look into some of these later, but they're very much more specific. They give you fairly specialized functionality that you can use and extend from. So I'm going to start with the game base mode. So I'm going to click it. I'm going to call this BP demo game based mode. BP for blueprint, demo because this is a demo. But you can name it whatever you want. The convention is normally to have BP at the beginning, but again, no one's going to stop you if you don't do that. Blueprint class, I'm going to look for player controller. Going to call it BP demo player controller, and right click blueprint class character. Before I click character, just a note, so actor, pawn, and character. Actor is something that can be placed inside the world, can be spawned in the world. So you can how would I phrase this? If you have a gun and you want to create the bullets for it, you can spawn the bullets as actors, so you can see them on screen when you fire. A pawn snatcher that can't be possessed and receive input from a controller, but something like you can add a character mesh and have a character, an NPC around the world. But a character can be possessed and possessed by the player, so I can walk around with them. But pawns, I believe, can have animations and actions, so you can program them to do stuff, but you just can't embody them as a player. So that's why we want character, because this will be able to receive keyboard input. So BP demo, and of course if I'm incorrect, by all means Google the correct answer. Character. Okay, so we now have our 3 classes, same as the blueprints that the demo comes with. They also have a camera manager, which you can use but you don't need for this demo, so we're not going to worry about that one. But if I come back into the demo folder that I made, and we're going to start off with game base mode, I'm going to double click. It's going to load up. And when you open up most blueprints, you'll get this kind of window. Components on the left, this is everything in your blueprint. A viewport in the center, this will be viewing your model, not for the game base mode, so it's actually not that helpful for this one, but we're just going to not touch anything because I had issues with that before. A constructor script, which we'll come back to later. It's not too important for this. And a event graph, which is kind of where most of your logic will live. Technically, there's an on construction event. So when this thing is first created, you can do some stuff in there. And then in your event graph, we have on begin play and event tick. Event on begin play, when you first play your game. So you hit the little green button. Code coming out of here would do stuff. Event tick happens every frame. And if you ever need a helpful thing as to what something does, you can hover over it And we can see if we're going to the construction script. Let's see. It doesn't really tell me much of anything. So I'll come back to that. But either way, we don't need any of this. All we need is this little section over here, this classes section, where we're going to set the things we just created. So game session, that's for online multiplayer stuff. We don't need this one. We don't need this one. Player controller class, we need to tell Unreal what the game brain we're going to be using. So we just created BP demo player controller. We see the one in the project is first person controller. So if I click this one, it'll set it. Player state we don't need for now. HD class, HUD class we don't need for now. Default pawn class, this is our actual controller. So if I hit the little twirl down and look for our BP demo character, we see we have the first person character in here. So this is from the template. We want ours. And this is all we have to change for now. Player controller and character. So our character and then what controls our character. We can compile. I'm going to save. And that's all for that. I can close it. Then in our player controller, we're going to not worry about the viewport. We don't really put components in here, although we can, but I'm not going to. I prefer putting stuff in the character class. Technically, you can put it wherever you want, wherever is helpful, but there are conventions that I think are more helpful. So on event begin play, we're going to want to right click, type in get player controller. This class already is a player controller, so this is a bit redundant, but it's nice to be verbose. I'm going to drag off from the pin. It's going to create a context sensitive pop-up. And we're going to look for enhanced local player subsystem. I'm going to click it. And this is trying to, this is connecting to like our mapping context. So if I drag off of that and type in add mapping context, we can now assign the mapping context that we made a little while ago. So I'm going to connect in the execution pen. So this is the flow of logic on event begin play. It's going to go to this node and take these parameters. The get player controller, the one that we're using, which is player index 0, so the only one in the level because it's a single player game. Enhanced input local player subsystem, that's going to be our target. And then under mapping context, we can hit this little drop down and look for the ones in the level. It'll show every mapping context we've made in this project. Ours is IMC demo first person. And this is setting up the kind of logic for our character. Everything our character can do is in this mapping context. And that's all we need for this. A very simple player controller. So we can close out. And then open up our character. And this is where most of your actual meshes are going to live. So a player character comes with a default character movement component. So it's adding gravity and collision. A mesh component, which is empty right now. An arrow for direction, and a capsule collider. So you can't phase through walls if collisions are turned on correctly. And in a sec, we'll add in the last part of this. So I'll see you guys in one quick second.